Thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me, Ahmet.
No problem. It's a pleasure to have you in the studio always. So, you want to talk about this album we just played? You were talking about the specificity of the name, the
Well,
distance between us.
yeah, I think that basically what I'm talking about is the distance between the various forms of music. That's kind of what it is. Even though you look at the picture and you see this picture of this woman, and it looks as if there's this demonic guy behind her, and he has issues, obviously, but it's not about a personal male female relationship or whatever. It's really about the distance between the various forms of the music that you've been playing all afternoon. And I can't, in the reflecting of it, it just became clearer and clearer to me.
So, when you look at this, let's say specifically this project, when you were planning this, do you think of the sound or the size or the musicians? I guess all, but like, how do you plan it in your mind to begin
Okay.
with?
Uh, I planned it because I had a specific circle of musicians I had been working with for a long time. And the musicians that I was working with, if I can see that. Because last night, as I told you, Ahmed, I had the master and I put it on, and myself and my wife were sitting there, and I put this on, and the gates I put on, and I didn't know what it was because I don't listen to my music after. If I listen to it, but I don't concentrate basically on, like, saying, oh, that's such a great album, or I love that album, blah blah. I really forge ahead with whatever I'm thinking about in a moment. So I put on the gates, and then this record came on, and I was playing the master. And then when I think about the people that are on this record, um, and I think about the circle of people that I had and the people that I invited in to help with it, uh, I was using already in the circle was Sabir, Charles, Lewis Barnes, who played excellently, I must say, on this record. If you listen to the other portions of it, Jesse Henry, who also was in that circle, and Mark Hennon, who you've heard a few times. Giesberg, who moved to Germany since, she was my choice as a singer because I knew of her range and I knew about how she felt about making transitions from music that was either uh, um, beat based or music that was almost totally free, and she had no problem with that.
I was actually surprised listening to this. I just told you like that you were doing 4/4, like a basic rhythm, which wasn't in the music I was playing all the
Oh,
afternoon.
all right. Well, I just felt as if it was appropriate. It was appropriate, and and because I had such an excellent engineer to do this, and I also had the backing of Knitting Factory for this record. I went in and I had the entire main space to make this record, and Brian Doherty, who's an electronics person, and he wasn't in the circle per se because he's from Rhode Island, but the person who was in the circle had just passed, and that is, to me, the great Doug Walker. In my thinking, Doug Doug's contribution to the music was almost on a Sun Ra level, and I worked with him a long time. And the people who are in this group, they can attest to, his understanding of electronics, and synthesizers. And then I put in there Dan Lilly and Ed Flynn, who have a punk sensibility. So I had two bass players, two tenor players, one trumpet player, three guitars, Giesberg, and two electronics people and myself, and I had the backing of the Knitting Factory, as I said, and Sasha Van Ortsen. Sasha Van Ortsen is she's a Tonmeister. In Germany, once you get to a certain level of understanding electronics and building studios, etc., they give you the name Tonmeister, and she was the one who put the drums right up front, and she knew where to position everybody, and it just came out to be a record that I'll never forget, along with a lot of the other records too. I mean, she's an incredible person. But anyway, that's the way it was. I don't know if I answered that question. Did I?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, just talking about it, in an interview of yours I read in a conversation you had with Ornette Coleman, he said, I play concepts more than I play tunes, or something in that context.
Well, it was an interesting situation because, everybody in New York takes the subway. And I was on the subway, and Ornette Coleman got on in my car. So I introduced myself, and he said, people will find it difficult to understand some of the things you're doing because you're playing ideas. You're not necessarily playing tunes. And I took that very seriously, because I was trying to figure out why was it that all these people that were getting all these gigs and being recognized and all this, what is it? And so when I asked him that and he told me that, I stopped to think about it, because this particular album this particular CD we're looking at, as well as many of the other CDs like Bliss West with Earth's Orbit, which we're going to play later. My first record is Eternal Life. I've always conceived of each project as a complete concept from the very beginning to the very end, hoping that people would listen to the entire thing. And if they wanted to pull parts out of it, that's fine, just as we've done with this one. But we won't have time. But the thing about it is, on this, we also have Pure Imagination, which is from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. We have Because of You Part 1 and Dimension 1 and Dimension 2. And that's usually the way I put together my releases. They're not really based only on the time that they happen, but they're also based on what I'm studying at the time, esoterically, as well as what I feel should follow if a person is going to get a full 60 to 70 minute read on what this particular artistic work is about.
Yeah, I understand. Oh, were you saying something?
No, I never do.
No. Okay. You always been a band leader.
Yes.
Aren't you even curious about being a sideman?
Am I curious?
Yeah.
I don't have time to be curious. I have time to be curious in my mind, but I don't have time to be curious in terms of going out and seeking gigs. My time is pretty tight. In terms of like how much time I spend in the studio developing new ideas, or how much time I try to use to get gigs and things like that. And I don't even know as if, for me, I just want to make great music with great people. That's basically it. And if people have to see things in terms of this hierarchical structure of who's the leader and all this, then it gets for me, it gets kind of tainted. Because as I mentioned, I usually deal with a circle of people. And I would hope that the circle of people that I deal with don't consider me their employer. You know what I mean? We gravitate toward each other we gravitate toward each other. We gravitate toward the music with the general thought in mind of making excellent music and having it clear and using all of our facilities to be able to give as much space to whoever it is that is soloing or whoever it is that's playing whatever. And in my realm, in my world, that particular idea doesn't come up very frequently. You see, so if I go out of my world, then it comes up. But usually, as I said, I don't have time. I don't have time. That's the only way I can put it. That's the only way I can put it.
Okay. I was actually gonna ask this after, but I think this is a good point to talk about it. What do you think? I'll start with the classic. What do you think is the drive? Why do you go out and put out your music there?
You mean
like
you mean putting these out? Or
yeah, you're
just
generally
playing?
making music, playing,
okay.
Putting out.
Well, you see, for me, I've gone through a lot of different transitions, and from the earliest transition that I can recall, it was basically, and you mentioned it, to get my chops together. That was mainly the reason why I played so frequently. I really wanted to put in as that guy in that book Blink, he mentioned anyone that plays 1,000 hours at something, eventually you start to master it. So I didn't even know it, but I was working on my 1,000 hours. You know what I mean? And I don't know when I crossed that line, but at the point where I crossed the line, I realized I had amassed a lot of experiences for my age, but that was just to develop the chops and to develop a love for the music and to be able to hear other people clearly. And then after that, a major event in my life was to get in touch with the Creator. Because at a point in California, I felt as if I had heard my Earth Mother through the music. And at that point, I seriously said to everyone around me and basically to myself, I'm never going to play anyone else's music.
That's what I'm kind of curious about. Do you think is it kind of, art is general and what you just talk about is kind of narcissistic in the way that, do you think you're putting yourself out? Or your expressions out?
No. I think what's happening is, or at least the way I've experienced it, I think my motive has been pretty good. It hasn't been for me to make a living, number one, because I've been lucky to have parallel careers. It hasn't been necessarily to get the recognition for myself that brings with it money and these fame, if you want to look at it, fame. But compared to some people, what? Compared to Rolling Stones, there's no fame. You know what I mean? There's levels of fame. All right, I haven't looked at it that way because of a number of reasons. And that first reason, not having to totally make a living, is one reason. The second reason is because of the parallel situation. So I always am thinking and moving in the direction of trying to learn other things that they're related to music, but they're really not. I love architecture. I love painting. I love all this kind of stuff, and I studied it, and I just it became a part of me. So because of that, I've tried to funnel those ideas into it. And lastly, I think um, I just consider myself a branch on a tree. There are other people that have made contributions to this language in this tree, and I'm one of those people that happened to come on that branch, if you will, that was signaled by the Milford Grazes of the world, the Sonny Murrays of the world, the Andrew Sorrells of the world. That and that does not say of the Rashid Alis of the world. That doesn't necessarily mean that I don't value and love the music of those that I when I saw their branches of the tree, they opened up new vistas for me in terms of understanding music, like Art Blakey or Roy Haynes or Philly Joe Jones or those people. But it's just that my contribution, if you look at it in terms of a tree, it's almost as if I just feel as if I'm making a contribution to this. And
So,
it's going to go on. It's going to go on and on and on and on.
so if you look at it from a composer perspective, you're saying you're kind of contributing into this one whole thing and trying to make it better for everybody.
Yeah, yeah. I think that. Yeah, I think that even if in the paradoxical thing is, even if you do a terrible job, you're still making it better. That's the thing about beauty. No, really, that's the thing about beauty, because I feel as if there is no argument amongst people about beauty. You're going to see beauty different than you're going to see beauty, and you're going to see beauty different than I'm going to see beauty. But beauty itself still exists. So it's not a matter of us arguing about it, or not a matter of us coming to like this. Now, truth may be a different thing, because then you either, it's kind of hardcore. It's true or it's false. It's, but I just figure that, in the words of Thelonious Monk, it could be an ugly beauty. An ugly beauty. Think about that. No, think about it, because I've thought about that many times. It can be an ugly beauty. Like you can't, oh no. But it's beautiful. So I just figure that even if you do a terrible job, you've contributed to something that, by virtue of what it is, it still keeps growing. That's the beauty of it.
Does that also have the motivation of sharing?
Yes,
that
it's
huge thing?
automatically shared. It's automatically shared, and it's automatically it's interesting, because like last night when I heard this master, I was full. I was seriously full and satisfied. I had not listened to this in so long. I really don't listen to my work. I'm not like that. But I knew at that point that there was something that was in me that I couldn't place a quantitative value on. I just knew that whatever it was, it had come out of the experience of sound and the experience of music. And I think that happens to a lot of people. It happens to a lot of people, and it happens both in live situations or in recorded situations. And I'm just hoping that I can have the strength and the wherewithal to find the new musicians that can help me to keep manifesting that beauty. That's the biggest challenge. That's the biggest challenge, to bring new people into it.
Do you think you've been successful in that? Like,
I'm working on it, Ahmet. I'm working on it. No, what you said up to this point. I just told you what I'm working on now. I'm working on it. It's a challenge right now. It's a challenge for me in the sense of I mentioned to you I'm working on something. I'm not gonna say. I'm not gonna say. I'm just holding back. But it's it for me to find people that are open minded and people that are fresh. You know, they don't bring this whole resume of greatness to it. You know, because that's a hard thing. That's a hard thing. That's a hard thing for a circle to absorb. You know, these resumes of greatness. You know, you're great. You're great. I'm great. He's great. She's great. We all get together. I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to deal with it. I mean, at this point, I don't want to deal with it. I want to deal, except if I can be asked to join certain situations that I feel the people are on that level, then we don't even look at each other like side man, whatever, whatever. It doesn't work. I mean, because I think that all of these things here, I think that I'm not afraid of that situation anymore. I'm really not, you know. But just for something new, I'm talking about. And that's where I am at right now. At this moment, as I'm talking to you right now, that's where I am with that. So I'm working on it, Ahmet.